Listen carefully. The world is not kind and it is not fair. Most people live like cattle, docile, distracted, and waiting to be told what to do. They scroll endlessly. They drown themselves in comfort and they obey without question. They are predictable, replaceable, forgotten. But you, if you are here, it means something inside you rejects that fate. You sense what few dare to admit. Survival is not enough. Power belongs to the educated, the disciplined, the untouchable. And that requires more than talent. It requires relentless strategy. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. Those who arm their minds become ungovernable. Knowledge is the weapon no tyrant can strip away. Every book you read, every idea you absorb, every truth you master, that is ammunition. Each day you sharpen your mind. You widen the gap between yourself and the masses who have already surrendered. If you want to dominate, you must build a fortress inside your skull. You must feed your mind as if your life depends on it, because it does. Pause. Comment this right now. I refuse to be cattle. Say it and mean it. This is mental thought, and today I hand you the Machiavelli principle. 2. The battlefield of knowledge. The world you move through is not a playground. It is a battlefield. Every conversation, every negotiation, every decision, these are subtle wars of influence and perception. Most people don't even realize they're in combat. That's why they lose before they begin. Knowledge is your armor and your blade. When you study daily, you gather intelligence about human nature, about systems of power, about the patterns that drive history forward. You begin to see the cracks in people, the weaknesses in organizations, the opportunities hiding in plain sight. To the untrained eye, these are invisible. To you, they are obvious. But understand this: knowledge is useless without application. To read without reflection is to sharpen a sword you never wield. When you learn, test it in the real world. Observe, manipulate outcomes, refine your instincts until you can predict human behavior with cold precision. That is the essence of dark psychology. Understanding that people are puppets pulled by their emotions, and you with discipline can pull the strings. And here's the truth. The more you learn, the lonelier the path becomes. Because you'll begin to see how shallow most people are, how unprepared they are for war. You will walk among them like a wolf among sheep. Pause. Comment this right now. Knowledge is my weapon. Engrave it into your mind and let it guide every action. This is the battlefield, and on it, ignorance is death. 3. The discipline of daily education. Power does not come in bursts of effort. It is forged in daily discipline. Every single day, you must feed your mind with something sharper, stronger, and more dangerous than the day before. This is the discipline of daily education, the quiet ritual that separates the rulers from the ruled. Most men waste their mornings in distraction, scrolling, gossiping, drowning in noise. A Machiavellian mind does not. You rise, and before the world corrupts you with chaos, you inject order into yourself. Read, study, absorb strategies of history's conquerors. Dissect the failures of men who lost everything. Train your mind the way a soldier sharpens his blade relentlessly without excuse. Why? Because ignorance is slavery. The man who fails to educate himself every day becomes prey. He is manipulated by propaganda, enslaved by trends, and ruled by those who understand psychology better than he does. But the man who learns daily, quietly, relentlessly, becomes unpredictable. He cannot be easily deceived, persuaded, or controlled. That is real freedom. Do not mistake this for academic trivia. You are not filling your head with useless facts. You are constructing a fortress of principles, strategies, and mental models. You are programming yourself to think 5 moves ahead. Every page you read, every lecture you watch, every thought you analyze, it compounds. And in time, you will stand so far ahead of the average man, they will not even understand how you think. This path demands sacrifice. Entertainment loses its appeal. Mediocre company drains you. You trade comfort for clarity, distraction for dominance. And soon you realize while others live in noise, you live in control. Pause. Comment this right now. Discipline builds empires. Write it below because it must echo in your mind every day. Remember, Those who fail to educate themselves are pawns. Those who embrace discipline become kings. 4. The psychology of control. Power is not about luck. It is not about charm. It is about control over yourself first and then over others. The Machiavellian understands this truth better than anyone. If you cannot control your own impulses, your own fears, your own cravings, then you will be ruled by those who can. Control begins internally. You must master your emotions until they serve you instead of enslave you. Anger, fear, lust, greed. These are tools, not weaknesses. The average man reacts like a puppet jerking to the strings of emotion. You, however, must learn to pause, to calculate, to strike only when it is profitable. That is cold power psychology. You decide when to reveal, when to conceal, when to destroy. Once you have disciplined your own psychology, the next step is control of others. Understand this. People are not rational creatures. They are emotional machines. They crave validation, fear rejection, and beg for direction. Learn this and you can guide them without resistance. You don't force people. You make them believe they are choosing freely. That is the art of manipulation. Study their weaknesses, observe their body language, listen to what they don't say, not just what they do. Every man has a crack in his armor, an insecurity, a blind spot, a hunger. Find it, exploit it. That is how kings rule without lifting a sword. But here is the paradox. Control is invisible. The best manipulator never looks like one. He appears calm, generous, even harmless. He hides his power behind a mask of humility while silently pulling every string in the room. That is why Machiavelli said, "It is better to be feared than loved, because love is fragile but fear endures." And when you master both fear and admiration, you become untouchable. Pause. Comment this right now. I am the one who pulls the strings. Engrave it into your identity. Let it remind you that control is not about arrogance. It is about survival and dominance. Never forget the man who controls himself commands respect. The man who controls others commands history. This is the psychology of control, and without it, you are just another pawn on someone else's board. 5. The power of secrecy. Understand this. What people don't know about you is far more powerful than what they do. Information is leverage, and the man who reveals too much becomes predictable, vulnerable, and easily destroyed. The Machiavellian principle is simple. Reveal little, conceal much. Most men crave attention. They spill their thoughts on social media, confess their weaknesses to so-called friends, and announce their plans before they have the strength to execute them. This is suicide. The more others know, the more they can anticipate you, trap you, and use your own words against you. But the man who practices secrecy moves like a shadow. He speaks less, listens more, and never exposes his true intentions until the moment of execution. Secrecy is not silence, it is strategy. You give people just enough to mislead them. You let them believe they know you when in truth they know nothing. A mask, a carefully crafted image, is often more effective than honesty. Why? Because honesty exposes, secrecy manipulates. Think of power like a chess game. The amateur brags about his next move, showing his hand in excitement. The master conceals, drawing the opponent into traps they cannot escape. This is how empires are built. Not by transparency, but by deception and strategic disclosure. But secrecy does more than protect you. It intimidates. Mystery creates curiosity, and curiosity breeds fear. When people cannot predict you, they cannot control you, they begin to respect you, even fear you, because uncertainty is terrifying. The wolf that howls can be hunted. The wolf that moves silently in the dark is unstoppable. This doesn't mean you isolate yourself completely. Secrecy is selective. Share information with purpose, but only what serves your strategy. If you must reveal, reveal what strengthens your image, never what weakens it. Even your allies do not need the full truth. Remember this. Every man has a price, and even a loyal friend can be bought. Protect yourself by keeping the deepest parts of your strategy hidden. When you master secrecy, you become untouchable. People can gossip, speculate, and assume, but they will never know. And the less they know, the more power you hold. Pause. Comment this right now. My silence is my shield, because that shield will protect you when words would betray you. The greatest rulers in history were not the loudest. They were the most calculated, the most unreadable, the most disciplined in what they concealed. That is why their enemies never saw the strike until it was too late. This is the power of secrecy. Use it wisely, and you will move through life like a ghost, felt, feared, but never fully understood. 6. The ruthlessness of decision. Hesitation is weakness. Weakness invites attack. In a world built on conflict and competition, indecision is not neutral, it is lethal. The man who hesitates loses opportunities, loses respect, and eventually loses himself. The Machiavellian principle is clear. When the time comes to act, act ruthlessly. Most men drown in hesitation. They overthink. They second-guess. They wait for perfect conditions that will never arrive. Meanwhile, decisive men carve their names into history. Caesar crossed the Rubicon with no guarantees. Alexander burned his ships, so retreat was impossible. Machiavelli himself taught that fortune favors the bold, not the timid. Ruthlessness does not mean recklessness. It means cold clarity. It means you calculate, you prepare, and when the moment comes, you strike with precision without apology. No hesitation, no wasted motion. Your decision must be final, and your execution absolute. Because nothing kills authority faster than doubt. Understand this. People instinctively follow strength. They are drawn to those who radiate certainty, even when the outcome is uncertain. The man who decides quickly, firmly, and without flinching becomes the axis others revolve around. He shapes reality by refusing to waver. The hesitant man, he becomes an echo, forgotten before he's even finished speaking. But ruthlessness is not only external, it begins inside. You must cut off hesitation at its root. Train yourself to think in probabilities, not fantasies. No path is ever perfect. Every choice carries risk, but risk is where power lives. When you choose, you must embrace the consequences, whether victory or failure, and bend them into your favor. That is the mindset of a predator, not prey. Ruthlessness also demands sacrifice. You cannot cling to every option, every relationship, every distraction. When you commit, you must cut away what slows you down. Most men cannot do this. They cling to comfort. They cling to safety. They cling to people who weaken them. You cannot. A king must be willing to burn bridges, severize, and eliminate liabilities without hesitation. Mercy is a luxury. Survival is a necessity. Do not confuse kindness with weakness. A Machiavellian mind understands when to be merciful, but also when mercy is suicide. If your enemy rises again because you hesitated, his hand will be at your throat. If your rival steals your advantage because you gave him one more chance, you've signed your own death warrant. Ruthlessness means finishing what you start always. And remember, your decisions define your legend. History does not remember the cautious man, the one who weighed every angle until opportunity rotted. History remembers the one who acted, who carved reality with sheer will. Those who hesitate are forgotten. Those who strike are immortalized. Pause. Comment this right now. Hesitation is death. Decision is power. Say it, because every day you hesitate, someone else takes the throne you should have claimed. The truth is brutal. People respect decisiveness more than morality. They fear the man who never doubts himself even when they hate him. That fear, that respect is what grants power. So when the moment comes, when life places the blade in your hand, do not tremble. Do not hesitate. Cut clean. Move forward. Never look back. This is the ruthlessness of decision. Learn it, live it, and you will stand where few men ever dare to stand. Untouchable, unchallenged, unshakable. 7. The power of perception. Power is not only what you hold, it is what others believe you hold. Perception is the true battlefield. Men have built empires not on armies or wealth, but on the illusions they crafted around themselves. If people think you are strong, you are strong. If they think you are weak, your actual power is irrelevant because they will treat you like prey. This is the Machiavellian truth. It is not enough to have power. You must be seen as power. Your reputation precedes you into every room, every conversation, every conflict. It speaks for you before you open your mouth, and it lingers long after you've gone. Guard it with precision. Shape it deliberately. Never let it form by accident. Perception is manipulation made permanent. When you walk with composure, people assume control. When you speak with certainty, people assume authority. When you refuse to be rattled, people assume strength. Notice the pattern. Assumption is everything. The crowd rarely checks reality. They believe the mask you wear, and so the mask becomes reality. This is why secrecy and ruthlessness connect directly to perception. If you conceal your weaknesses, if you act with bold precision, you create an aura of inevitability around yourself. People will whisper about you, exaggerate your strength, inflate your influence. You don't need to be a giant. You only need to cast a giant's shadow. Consider the rulers of history. Many were not the strongest fighters or the richest men, but they mastered their image. They cultivated fear and admiration like a weapon. Some were called ruthless, some were called wise, others were called divine. What mattered is not the truth. It was the perception, and perception shaped reality. But beware. Perception cuts both ways. One crack in your image, one sign of desperation, and the crowd will turn. People are fickle, easily swayed by appearances. That means you must be ruthless with your presentation. Dress with purpose. Speak with intention. Control your body language. Every detail tells the world what to believe about you. Do not give them the option to believe you are ordinary. Here lies another dark truth. People want to believe in something greater than themselves. They yearn for leaders, for figures larger than life, for symbols of strength they cannot embody. If you craft yourself into that figure through discipline, through education, through controlled perception, they will follow. Not because you asked, but because they cannot resist. The Machiavellian knows that deception is not lying. It is theater. It is controlling the stage, so thoroughly that no one questions the performance. If you appear unshakable, they will assume you are unshakable. If you appear inevitable, they will treat you as inevitable. And once belief takes root, reality bends to it. Understand, perception can protect you as much as it empowers you. A reputation for ferocity can deter attacks without a fight. A reputation for wisdom can open doors before you knock. A reputation for calm ruthlessness ensures no one underestimates you twice. Perception multiplies your influence faster than brute strength ever could. Pause. Comment this right now. I control the image. I control the world. Because when you master perception, you bend the will of others before they even realize it. The herd lives blind to this truth. They scramble for approval, desperate to be liked. They confuse popularity with respect. But the Machiavellian knows better. Respect is rooted in fear, admiration, and mystery, not in approval. So craft your image, guard your reputation, control the story told about you. Because perception is power, and in a world ruled by illusions, the man who commands perception commands everything. This is the power of perception, and when you wield it with discipline, you don't just win battles, you win minds. And minds are the ultimate battlefield. 8. The calculated use of fear. Love is fragile. It bends with emotion, shifts with moods, and dies when it no longer serves the giver. Fear, however, fear endures. Fear etches itself into the human mind, branding itself into memory. Machiavelli taught that if you must choose between being loved and being feared, always choose fear. Why? Because fear commands loyalty even when love falters. But understand, we are not speaking of reckless cruelty. Fear, when used without intelligence, makes tyrants who burn quickly and fall violently. The Machiavellian principle is not chaos, it is control. Fear must be calculated. It must be precise, deliberate, and controlled like a surgeon's blade, not a butcher's cleaver. So, what does this mean for you? It means you must cultivate a reputation that punishes betrayal, disloyalty, and disrespect without hesitation. People must understand, whether consciously or instinctively, that stepping against you comes with a cost. Not necessarily a physical cost. It could be social, financial, psychological, but it must be real. It must be remembered. Most men fail here. They want to be liked. They want to be approved of. They shy away from confrontation, hoping kindness will earn them respect. But kindness without power is weakness. And weakness invites predators. By contrast, when people sense you will strike back calmly, decisively, without apology, they tread carefully. They measure their words around you. That is the power of calculated fear. Fear is effective because it taps into the deepest layers of human psychology. Love asks for choice. Fear removes choice. When a man fears consequences, he obeys. When he obeys long enough, obedience becomes habit. That habit is power for you. But here is the subtlety. Too much fear without respect makes you hated, and hatred breeds plots. Too little fear makes you ignored. The Machiavellian balance is this. You must never be cruel for sport, never harsh without reason. Your ruthlessness must always appear justified, necessary, and controlled. People may whisper that you are dangerous, but they must also admit you are fair. That is the balance that keeps fear clean and effective. When you master this balance, something fascinating happens. Even those who dislike you will protect you. Why? Because they fear losing the stability your presence provides. History shows this again and again. Ruthless leaders endure because they make themselves necessary, and fear of chaos keeps the herd loyal. Consider this. The average man bends under pressure, seeks forgiveness, begs for understanding. You must be the opposite. When challenged, you stand immovable. When betrayed, you punish swiftly. When tested, you escalate beyond what is expected. This burns the lesson into memory. Never cross you twice. Fear also grants you freedom. The man who is loved must constantly entertain, constantly please, constantly maintain affection. But the man who is feared commands respect without performance. His silence is enough. His presence is enough. His reputation does the work. Pause. Comment this right now. Respect me or fear me. Either way, you obey. Write it because it must become your creed. But remember, fear alone is not enough. It must be cloaked in discipline, wisdom, and restraint. The wolf that snarls at everything starves. The wolf that strikes only when necessary rules the forest. That is the kind of fear you must embody, silent, patient, controlled until the strike. Machiavelli was right. Love is voluntary, and men betray what they choose. Fear is involuntary, and men cannot betray what terrifies them. This is why the great rulers, the great conquerors, the great strategists all wielded fear like a weapon, not out of sadism, but out of necessity. So embrace it, cultivate it, balance it with respect, but never trade it for love. Love fades, fear endures, and endurance is power. This is the calculated use of fear. And when you master it, you will walk through life untouchable because even those who despise you will never dare defy you. 9. The fortress of the mind. Every empire begins with a fortress. Every king, every ruler, every conqueror understands this truth. Without a stronghold, you cannot defend, you cannot expand, and you cannot endure. For you, that fortress is not built of stone. It is built inside your skull, the fortress of the mind. Most men leave their minds unguarded like an open city. They let fear invade. They let weakness seep through the gates. They let other people's opinions set fire to their confidence. And then they wonder why they collapse under pressure. They wonder why they are manipulated, discarded, forgotten. It is because they never built walls. Your mind must be fortified. That means no enemy thought, no poisonous doubt, no external distraction enters without your permission. You become the gatekeeper. You decide what information strengthens you and what weakens you. You learn to filter noise from signal, illusion from truth. Education, daily, disciplined, relentless, is the stone you stack to build those walls. Stoicism, the refusal to be ruled by emotion, is the iron gate that protects them. Inside this fortress, you cultivate resilience. Pain will not break you. Criticism will not shake you. Fear will not enslave you. You will feel all of these things, but you will master them. You will use them. You will convert pain into strength, criticism into clarity, fear into fuel. That is what makes the fortress unreachable. But a fortress is not just defense. It is also a command center. From within it, you observe the world with sharp eyes. You study your enemies without them knowing. You plan moves they cannot anticipate. And when you act, it is not out of reaction. It is out of design. The fortress of the mind ensures you are never pulled into someone else's strategy. You are always executing your own. The Machiavellian principle here is simple. Control yourself completely, and no one can control you. He who rules his mind rules his destiny. He who fails to rule it becomes a slave to every influence, every manipulation, every shadow of doubt cast by others. And here's the truth that most will never face. Building this fortress is lonely. When you cut off distractions, when you silence noise, when you remove weak influences, you isolate yourself. But solitude is the training ground of strength. Alone in the fortress, you sharpen your mind until it is a blade no one can dull. This is why so few achieve it. They fear being alone with themselves. They fear the silence. They fear discipline. And so they remain open cities, conquered again and again. But not you. You will build high walls, iron gates, unshakable defenses. You will become untouchable because your foundation will never crack. Pause. Comment this right now. My mind is my fortress. Repeat it until it is not just a phrase but a command to yourself. Remember this. When your mind is fortified, you cannot be bribed, manipulated, or broken. When your mind is strong, no betrayal can ruin you. No setback can end you. No enemy can truly defeat you. You will stand calm while others collapse. You will see clearly while others drown in confusion. You will endure while others are destroyed. This is the fortress of the mind. Build it every day. Defend it every moment. Rule it absolutely. Because once you command your mind, you command everything. 10. Becoming untouchable. This is the end game. Everything until now has been preparation. The daily education, the discipline, the control of self and others, the power of secrecy, the ruthlessness of decision, the weaponization of fear, the shaping of perception, the fortress of the mind. All of it was leading here to becoming untouchable. What does untouchable mean? It means you move through the world with such mastery that nothing external can destroy you. It means betrayal cannot collapse you. Setbacks cannot shake you. Enemies cannot break you. You bend reality to your will because you are no longer playing the same fragile game as everyone else. You stand above it. The untouchable man is not reckless. He is calculated. He is not loud. He is deliberate. He is not desperate for approval. He is feared, respected, and observed in silence. His power comes not from luck or inheritance or even raw strength, but from discipline sharpened over time. He has educated himself every day, piece by piece, until his mind became a weapon sharper than any blade. He has practiced restraint until emotions serve him instead of enslave him.